What is going on, YouTube? Pass the prop back here again. We're here back-to-back days, maybe 3 days in a row if we do it tomorrow. But yesterday, NBA, we're here for Super Bowl week. These are going to be our Stu, what did you just send out?
Send out the
stream. You sent out the link again. I got.
Oh my god!
Yeah, you got to switch that because I just got we just got a couple guys on my back end.
Oh my god!
Hey, CJ, whoever you are, man, I'm sorry I'm going to kick you from the studio here, but we got to get Stu on that edit button quick. I'm like, Stu, what's going on here? I got a couple of you guys here in the background of it, so you don't want
that a couple times. It's not the first time. I said it's not the first time.
It just happened to be on our on the Super Bowl one, so it's all good. We're ready to go. So, Stu, how are we feeling today?
I'm doing pretty good. Better now that I got that tweet deleted and we don't have 500 people trying to invade here, But yeah, doing good. Obviously, it's been a nice little run in the NBA. I don't know about you. I wasn't really looking forward to switching over to talking that much NBA, in general, but it's been a really fun couple weeks. It's been a really good run. The media stuff has been great with all the trades. So that's been good. But hey, man, we're not going to have many more chances to talk NFL. So I'm excited to be here. We got some bets to break down. We got some Super Bowl action to get into. And I'm excited to start.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the other side for that. You guys, I love me some college basketball. Obviously, NBA, they've been good the last couple weeks. It's just you got to avoid those blowouts, man. It's just it's that one sport that, you get them pretty bad, man. It is pretty brutal. But, hey, shout out to those Blazers. We talked about them at the end of yesterday. I had to give my hype out to my boys out there. Denny Avdia, a nice little 25-piece, putting up a clinic. Anthony Simon's doing his thing, too. Caught us in with those dog money spots. He had a 5-point dog, ends up getting the W in overtime. I even played the second half over, and they fucking found a way to put them in there and take down the Suns. So that was good. We talked about that a little bit there, but we'll get through a quick recap. We got 15 of you guys in here. Hit that like button for us. We appreciate it as always. I had 2 spots yesterday, and I'm so mad about this one, guys. I played Amen Thompson triple-double. I played Hart on the show, so I'm kind of pissed because I got a 16-1 on that, and should have played it here, but fuck. I mean, I don't know if I could make it any easier. I think he had 48. Dude just went absolutely berserk. Pretty much did whatever he wanted. Didn't hurt that he pushed Karl Anthony Towns into foul trouble, and you're rolling Precious Achua, and he can't get he was even having foul issues too. So shout out Amen Thompson doing his thing, and obviously put on an absolute clinic triple-double, 25-point triple-double.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic regular season game. One of the better ones I can remember watching in a little bit. So that was a good one. Cashed all the Amen props possible right here. So it was fun, easy. And even all the bumped numbers obviously got cashed as well. So good shit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You had the brother too.
I know. Both Thompson twins got the job done. And this one was sweat-free, man. Early third quarter. He had 9 in the first half. I thought we were going to get that first half cash. But yeah, got the job done. It was a pretty perfect matchup right there. And he did exactly what I expected. He dunked his way to this prop. So shout out both of these guys. I'm going to keep betting on them in these good matchups.
Yeah, for him, I guess it's just been just minutes, right? It's just minutes. Yeah. I mean, if he plays – dude's everywhere, and same with Amen. But Amen's playing 39 minutes a game over the last month, so makes it a little bit easier. Heading over to my boy Malik Monk, bro. Why didn't I just put the rebounds in there? Dude had 9 rebounds too. I'm like, damn, bro. All right, we'll take it. But obviously, heavy minutes. Talking about that ad nauseum here. I didn't even mention this dude just an absolute sniper from the free throw line and just made everything happen there. I think he got Nickeil Alexander-Walker in foul trouble immediately. Had him sit down after 8 minutes. I know we talked about him on the show, possibly matching up with him. He actually went on him and then got 2 fouls coming off the bench and had to go sit. So dude just got his whole time to just go run out there and absolutely cook. So, yeah, shout out Monk. Made his free throws on the stretch. It was a lot tighter than what it ended up with because he did get those free throws. He ended up with 32, I think, points, assists. But it was a little more sweaty than the Thompson brothers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the rebounds caught me off guard. I was like, damn, do we got to watch out for this guy on triple-double watch going forward?
Here, dude. Yeah, for sure.
But no, I didn't watch a second of this game, but I cashed a bunch of props, so I feel good about it. I had your Monk stuff. I even had a little a couple other assist props in that game as well. So shout out to it. Monk, I mean, he's just dependable, man. It's going to be fun to get him in these games when there are other people out. But I know, obviously, they're all going to be healthy pretty soon.
Yeah, it's just tough for me because it's like him and Levine kind of do the same thing, but Monk obviously is more of a point guard facilitator type as well. So I'm just kind of curious how that works. I mean, Keon Ellis is going to be banished to the shadow realm until they need to actually play defense in games because Levine's probably taking that 2 spot. Because even like Keegan Murray looked nice last night too, dude. Like that Kings offense kind of was clicking there. Obviously, I love De'Aaron Fox, but I was kind of expecting a little bit, a little slower without Fox in there. But they were clicking. They were clicking right away, and even against a good defense in the Timberwolves. Good shot out there. So I know I'll get mine out of the way here. I had Hart triple-double. Only had like 36 minutes, which, again, I thought I was going to see like 42. And then he ended up with like 7 and 6. So they were letting him shoot, which is what you should do. But the dude ended up with like 17 points. Like, what the fuck, dude? When do we see that from Josh Hart? 17 points there. And obviously, it was pretty much a Jalen Brunson show. And we don't really see Josh Hart pass it to Brunson. Brunson just doesn't pass and just started shooting. So that's where the assists go. They go to nowhere when Jalen Brunson brings the ball up and doesn't pass it. So 40 piece for him, though. Can't say much about it.
Yeah, I mean, he was on pace early, and then, it's hard to get a triple-double. So it is what it is.
And then heading over to yours there.
Yeah, I got halfway there. Bridges over 2.5 cashed, 5 did not. He ended up with 4 first-quarter rebounds. He played 10 minutes. So, made a couple bucks if you played it. Shout out, but almost got the 5. Should have been there. Just fell short, but, I'm happy with the money. We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll always take those, and obviously we'll take where we're at so far. I mean, like I said, we've been a little bit behind with us doing more NFL content a little bit later, but you guys know we're going to be getting into basketball a little bit more. We're getting in the weeds there, 8-2 to start the season. Can't say too much else about it, and obviously we're looking to add on to some NFL stuff. So let me pull up our NFL record somewhere in here. I know I got it somewhere, so I got to make sure I get that. So yeah, we can make our way over there. So we head in 16 units there. Like I said, we're already at 6 there, so we did cross the 20 unit total, but we got to do it here. It's gonna be a tough one to do crossing that 20. But I know I got a 2 unit play because I only got 1. And obviously you got some plus money. If we get a full sweep, I did do the calculation. We can get to 20. So I'm hoping we can get a full sweep here and get to that nice round 20 unit mark, which would be absolutely crazy.
Yeah, no, that would be a lot of fun, but it's been a great season so far, and I think we can end it on a positive note right here. Obviously, biggest game of the season. It's important to say, too, before we get crazy, we break down the game before going to the thing. Don't bet more than you should. It's the Super Bowl. We're all going to talk about having fun, D-Gen bets. I'm sure everyone's going to be betting a lot of stuff, but only do that like you're treating this like you're going to a movie and you want to buy the popcorn, you want to get the icy, you want to have a good time, right? You're getting some, candy. I don't know. You're spending all the money like it's for fun, So I'm just saying it's that time of year where people get a little bit crazy. Don't go too crazy, okay? Bet what you can afford to lose. Obviously, we're all trying to make money here. We're trying to have profitable bets, but this is the type of game where people go a little bit overboard sometimes. And, important to acknowledge to not do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important for this one, but even more, I think important is going to be when we talk Friday on our, more of the long shotty matchup type bets. Because obviously these are going to be our straight plays.
Yeah.
Friday, we're going to be doing some crazy ass shit, bro. Those are going to be the fun ones, the matchup ones. I always like doing them comboed with UFC because they always find a way to put a pay-per-view on the weekend, which is awesome. So we'll have a fun one there with takedowns versus touchdowns. Those are my favorite, bro. I love that. And it should be exciting. Obviously, a big weekend ahead. But that's what Friday's going to be. So this one might be a little bit quicker for us. Because I think I have 1, Stu's got 2, but we still got Friday that we're going to still be talking about. So if you don't make it here live for questions, try your best to get there Friday, and we'll be able to still do the same thing for you. We just know that we want to get these out before, all the line moves. All these dudes are just throwing out long shots on Twitter and want you guys to keep betting all these different things. So we want to get these out and hopefully the line moves in our way, and we can get some good line value here on these spots. So I guess let's just start out with the overview, Stu. I'll kick it over to you. We got the Chiefs at -1.5 now, minus 105 on the Chiefs there. A little more juice on the Eagles at the +1.5 mark. I know for me, usually if I'm taking them, I'm usually just taking money line on those, especially if you're betting the favorite. Because I mean, you can bet the Chiefs right now -120. You're only getting +100 there, so it's like it's tough there, and you don't want to obviously have it where you win by a point, and then you obviously lose even though you pick the right team. But 48.5 is a higher total than I was expecting to see here. I thought we'd see a little bit more bets on the under and see this kind of go under that big number of 48. I guess I'll kick it to you, Stu, on what do you think here, how this game plays out, and then one of the four sides, obviously the over-under total, or the side there of the Chiefs or Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I feel like I've kind of stayed very neutral on a lot of Super Bowls recently in terms of like betting the side in total. Obviously, it's the most efficient game of the year, most efficient total, most efficient price. Like we've had all year long to kind of calculate these numbers. The sports books are taking $1 million a pop. Like these are the sharpest lines you're going to get for most of the season. So it's always interesting to look at that and acknowledge that. But for me personally, I took the Chiefs right here. I backed them on the money line. I said it when we did our initial reaction show when we came out of the gate, where I think a lot of people just saw that -120, -125, and said, you know what, I can get Patrick Mahomes at a respectable money line price. I'm going to do that. Like, I don't see. It's hard to argue with something that simple because it's not the deepest point in the world, but obviously if you've gone to the well over and over and over again with Mahomes in these close games where everyone's saying this is the time they finally get him, the run ends right here. You've probably been on the losing side if you've been going against Mr. Mahomes so far. The argument that you hear a lot that we were briefly talking about before the show is kind of the talent. That's what a lot of people, if you're betting the Eagles, you're saying, well, we have the more talented team. We have the more well-rounded team. When you look at a lot of skill position groups, you probably give them the slight edge. But there's a reason, a quarterback gets drafted at the start of every NFL draft every year. There's a reason they win the MVP every year because not every position group is created equally. And unfortunately, they've got you beat at the two most important positions, the quarterback and the head coach. And they got you beat pretty bad in both of those situations. So for me, it's interesting because a couple weeks ago, we were just saying, defense wins championships to me seems a little bit outdated. I think offensive lines win championships. And when you look at offensive lines, when you look at defensive lines, when you look at the trenches, that's obviously where Philly has the advantage. And if they're going to be in a comfortable game script, if Saquon Barkley is going to get a 7-point lead early, then we know exactly what this team's going to do. To me, the most unpredictable part comes when what happens if the Eagles are losing, because we just haven't had to see that scenario play out too often. In a couple of rare, situations in the playoffs in history, we've seen it. It hasn't gone too well for Jalen Hurts, although you could argue that Super Bowl they played in just a couple of years ago was a pretty good game for him. One of his better out there. And I would say last week against the Commanders was one of Jalen Hurts' better games as well. Wasn't necessarily asked to do the most in the world. Washington shot themselves in the foot a lot. You didn't quite get those high pressure situations. But when he had one-on-one opportunities, when they asked him to beat man coverage, he dropped some absolute dimes for A.J. Brown. So that's it's going to be a reoccurring theme, right? He's going to have to connect on those deep shots. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is the key to this operation no matter what. But I feel very similar to how I felt this whole time, where if you like the Eagles and you think it's going to be a close competitive game, I think A.J. Brown longest reception probably correlates with that once again, because I just don't see them not connecting on at least one deep shot if the Eagles are going to be able to do what they did these last 2 weeks, which is they're going to grind you down, they're going to make you tired, and then they're going to take advantage. When you have to commit everything to that run, that's where they're going to beat you. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a back and forth. I have a really hard time seeing this being like a blowout either way. I think these two teams are going to go to war. I think it's going to be close. But if we agree, if we can put everything else to the side and say we can agree this is going to be a one-possession game, it's going to be an absolute battle, who do you want the ball? Like, who do you trust the most in the end in this game? It's 100 out of 100 times it's Patrick Mahomes. So we'll talk more about the game and the props as we go. I know I ranted a little bit there, but for me, even all these factors aside, in this kind of spread, in this kind of environment, I want Patrick Mahomes 10 out of 10 times. And at a minus 120 price, I'm not even having to pull teeth to get there. I can just lay that pretty easily. I said it before the year. I have a future 15-1 on the Eagles. I don't bet futures that often. I don't win futures that often. So it's a bummer that I have this one here. And now I'm probably gonna have to bet over that future. Like that's like to win like $1,500. I'll probably have more money on the Chiefs to win this game just because I like the future, but I like the Chiefs more. So it's unfortunate. Hopefully I can win a future in the next couple years and I can just sit back and not have to bet. But I like the Eagles, so I'm going to bet the Eagles.
You mean the Chiefs, I'm assuming?
The Chiefs. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that's what your whole I think I was listening correct where we were on the same thing. But, yeah, I don't know. Dude, it brings me back to their Super Bowl, 2 years ago, where it was just like an absolute just shit show, right? 38-35, crazy. And I just don't know if I trust both these teams to get into like a shootout type of game. I respect both defenses enough where I don't think it's really going to be that much of a shootout. So if I had to pick a side, I think I would probably lean a little bit with the under, maybe a little bit more with the first half under, just because I've seen Mahomes in the second half of games just absolutely just nuke teams. My biggest thing that I had issues with the Chiefs and why I didn't think they would win throughout this year was there was really nobody else stepping up, right? There was just nobody stepping up. And it's like, all right, one day it's Noah Gray and nobody else doing anything. Then it's one day it's early on in the season was Rashee Rice doing everything. Then he gets hurt. And it's like, I think now it's like you're starting to see, Worthy step up a little bit. Hollywood Brown is doing a lot more than I expected him to. And mind you, they still got DeAndre Hopkins playing the 4, dude. Like he's their fourth option, which is crazy, bro. So I think I would lean that way, but if I had to pick either, I think I'd probably just lean with the under a little bit more. If I had to pick a side there, obviously I'm also a little biased here because I just bet the Bills and lost the Bill bet against the Chiefs, even though I know they're a more talented team and I got them at plus money. So it's like feeling okay about that, but it's like just a minus 120 on Mahomes just feels like criminal almost at this point, even though obviously I would 100% agree the Eagles are a more talented football team, like top to bottom. They are a better football team. It's just I said that shit about Baltimore. I said that shit about the Bills, and yet Patrick Mahomes finds a way to fucking win games, and it's just like inevitable, bro. It's just wild how he just finds a way to keep these games close, even when this team's playing like shit, and then we come through. It's just also. I love Karl Loftus. I love that guy on defense. He's a Big Ten guy, Purdue dude, just making big plays. And then obviously Chris Jones. It's just if they can run the ball, dude, I think they can just suck the game out. And then it kind of leans with my under a little bit more, but I think it's gonna be a tough time. It's hard to bet against the Chiefs. And Terrence said it best. They just keep finding a way to win, whether it's 17-10. 24-10, you know what I mean? It's just like, or it's like 24-28. Like they could do any one of those, and it's just you don't want to be a guy betting on the Eagles, and then you're like, oh shit, like how did I not do that? It's just like when Brady was in the Super Bowls.
Yeah,
it's just like you just kind of knew something was gonna come down and late in the game, and it's like shit. All right, here we go again. So I definitely lean with the Chiefs, but I think if I had to pick one, I still think I would a little bit lean with the under on the 48.5. I thought that was just a little high.
I agree. And it was 49.5 for a little bit. It got to a peak, and then you can tell now it's evening out a little bit. But I'm fully with you. I think in the realm of it staying close, I don't think that's a shootout. Like for either side, I'm with you. I think it's relatively low scoring. The final thing I'll say on the spread, if you are betting this, and it's like this for every big event too, you're probably going to a Super Bowl party or you got people that want to bet it, you want to get involved. Try to bet this at even money with this. Like if you like the Chiefs especially, like try to bet like, hey, $50 if they win 50. Like I get like half of my bets this time of year with like real life people because you get better odds. And like everyone's in for it. You know what I mean? These, like, it's not price sensitive. If you're going to a Super Bowl party, people just want to have fun most of the time. So I'm not saying this in like a scamming people way, by the way. I'm not smiling. Like, I'm just saying, like, offer 50-50, especially if you like the Chiefs side. Say $100 if I win, 100 if you win. 90% of people are totally, game for that. So I'm just saying it's that time of year where everyone's into it. Like, you can get better prices, in real life. So, take advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm in my first ever Super Bowl squares this year. I did it for a fundraiser for a local team around here. I joined in. I got 2 squares. I'm like, where are my squares? Tell me where I'm at, bro. I don't know. I got to randomize them yet. So I bought 2, and hopefully I can win one. I've never done one. My mom runs one through her work, so like sometimes I'll pick the numbers for them. But I've never actually been in one, so I'm like, I don't know if I actually won. So hopefully I have somebody there that can help me and tell me, like, how do I win this shit? Because I've just never done those. So, yeah, I think it's time to go. We got 35 of you guys in here live with us on a Tuesday, on an off day. Usually, you guys are here. We appreciate every single one of you guys in here. If you could hit that like button, we'd appreciate it. We'll get to Stu's first play, and we'll start him off with some Eagles action here.
Sounds good. Going to the best price in market still right now. Dallas Goedert, 50.5 receiving yards, -110 on FanDuel Sportsbook right now. It's gotten up. This is the first bet I placed for the Super Bowl. Got this one in like pretty much right when the numbers dropped at 46.5. It got up to 53 at one point. I thought it would kind of stay 53, 54. So I think anything in this like 50.5, like 50 range is still good. And I think it's going to be a big game for Dallas Goedert here. I talked about A.J. Brown earlier. I'm a fan of A.J. Brown. He's fantastic. But if you'll notice, it's the same way I talked about him last week. I don't think it's going to be overwhelming volume. I think when he's involved, it's those big plays. It's one-on-one opportunities. It's taking advantage of man coverage because, hey, Spags blitzes. We know he's sending the house at a decent rate, 35% blitz rate. That's the 5th most this season so far. We know they're going to be sending heat. So there are going to be a couple of those deep shots for sure that are to A.J. Brown, but that's not a consistent game plan. And that's obviously a Chiefs team that plays so much like cover 2 defense. They got the safeties back. They're going to be trying to limit those explosive plays as well. So logically speaking, when I look at this matchup, what I'm trying to solve in my head, right, is how does Jalen Hurts move the ball through the air? Because we know Saquon Barkley is going to be the biggest part of this game. We know the passing volume is not going to be particularly high, right? Jalen Hurts does not plan on throwing the ball that much. And while I think he looked unleashed a little bit last week, I'd say that would be my person. If you watch the media interviews as well, I've watched almost everything that they put out. In my personal opinion, the way I've talked about Jalen Hurts these last couple of weeks was really, it felt like he's been kind of locked in a cage a little bit more. And I think we all assumed that was because of injury, when I think that might have just been the playbook. Like, I think that might have been their offensive coordinators. And obviously there were the talk about the behind closed doors meeting, the stuff that they had. To me, it looked like they trusted Hurts a lot more last week. And obviously, even before the game got out of control, even when it was a close game before Washington had all the turnovers in the second half, Hurts was throwing the ball more. He was throwing with confidence. And it felt like there were more designed reads for him to get the ball out quickly. And I think Dallas Goedert was a big part of that and will continue to be a big part of that, because if you watch again, half of those passing game like plans were like, hey, let's get the ball to this guy instantly and just let him truck a couple people in the meantime. And that's a pretty good strategy because Dallas Goedert at full strength has looked awesome. Like, he's looked really healthy. He's one of the few tight ends in this league that you can trust for like massive yards after catch. He's a guy that's brutal to tackle in the open field. And when you think about it logically, once again, the Chiefs are a high blitz rate team. They're sending pressure. And not only are they sending pressure, they're probably sending pressure in the most creative way possible, right? That's what every single person says about Spags. It's the free rushers. It's the different blitzes. It's mixing it up and keeping you guessing. When you're trying to figure out how you solve that problem, right? Where your quarterback that you don't really trust against the blitz. Hurts has been up and down in his career, but he's never been great against the blitz. it's easy completions. It's getting the ball in the hand of your playmakers when it's not Saquon Barkley on the ground. And to me, it's felt like Dallas Goedert has served that role every single game of the playoffs. But now I think it's the game where they need it the most, where they're going to be the most scared. Their back's going to be the most against the wall, and they're going to be forced to throw a little bit more. I think we could really see Goedert in that like 6-7 target range pretty easily in this game. So I know I've talked a lot about like short yardage stuff, kind of quicker passes. The reason I'm going with yards over receptions, which I like both. I played a little bit of receptions, juiced at 3.5. So you're not going to get a great price right there. But I just think the yards after catch ability is there. I think it's prominent. I don't think, well, the Chiefs defense is solid. The tackling in particular can be a little bit sketchy. I think a guy like Goedert in the open field can take advantage of that. Because when you sell out so much to stop Saquon Barkley, you're getting one-on-one opportunities, like no matter what. So, and Devonta Smith, that guy's, where is he at? His 2 best catches of the season have not been catches. He was out of bounds in both of 2 of his best catches of the season, and they got to line of scrimmage, got quickly. Like, the guy is a shadow out there. He's really not a threat at all. If you've heard me talk about Jahan Dotson, you'd know he's not a threat at all. The guy's the cardio king out there. So beyond A.J. Brown, who even could have a huge game, if you're expecting even a low level of passing volume, like I don't see how Goedert isn't in that 50-plus yard range, in that 6 or 7 target range. So I just think there's so many different ways he goes over, whether they're in a positive game script and they're winning and Saquon's comfortably running the ball. You still got to mix it up. You're not going to be running every play. It's going to be those quick play action dump downs, get him the ball. Like, I just think there's a lot of different ways he gets involved right here. And I'm a big fan of Dallas Goedert this weekend.
Yeah, no, and I mean this is a tough spot too. Just like cornerbacks on that side, right? The cornerbacks for KC have obviously been very, very good. Got to assume that you're probably leaning top guy going to AJ Brown, and yeah, I mean you can say. I mean, I saw any drop that Devontae shows up versus KC. I don't really use past matchups a ton on those, just because a lot of the people aren't there anymore. So that's just me. But I don't know if you think that same way. Do you look at that? I can't see. I know I don't. So I was just curious if you have that in the way you think about it as well.
No, not really. I mean, I think it can matter sometimes, like schematically, but it's just the same way people will share. Like, the biggest thing on Twitter I saw was people were posting like Mahomes stats versus the Fangio defense, being like, oh, he's so good. Like, his record against the Fangio defense. And then another guy posted the same sample size and goes, well, via, EPA per play, he's actually had 2 of his worst career games against Fangio defense. So, like, you can look at all kinds of things. You can look at pretty much whatever you want. And I think for a lot of people, past matchups is something that juices the numbers up. So they're like, hell yeah, let's use that. But for the most part, I don't think it matters that much. And yeah, but I mean, that not to say Devonta won't have a good game in this one, but like the corner matchups are tough. Watson's back. He was gone for a lot of that second half of the season when the KC secondary looked bad. So now it's not just McDuffie, because McDuffie is an absolute beast. He's going to be out there probably on A.J. Brown the whole time. Now you have a second guy in Watson that you feel comfortable in against, Smith.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jason, update on picks. This is the only one so far. I'm about to drop mine. I'm dropping a 2-unit play right now. Hey, happy birthday, my man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you popping in. Canadian Cam popping in again. Hey, we saw you last game. I'm happy that you were able to pop in and check in and cash those NBA bets with us. Hopefully we can continue to cash those maybe tomorrow. I'll have to look at the slate because I know usually Wednesdays are kind of loaded, so maybe we'll get there. But today is all Super Bowl bets, just our straight bets. Fun bets coming Friday. We'll be here. But yeah, dude, I'm laying a 2-unit hammer here in the Super Bowl. I'm not messing around. I'm only going to have a couple bets. Like, it's going to be probably this one and then those fun ones. I don't plan on playing too many other things outside of this, but I'm playing 2 units on Mahomes completions, bro. Like, you can look at intended air yards from the whole year. You can look at intended air yards here in these last couple games, but he is not over 7 yards in any of them, bro. Like, he's not getting these guys on the field. It's because the Chiefs are so good at not getting behind the sticks. That's what makes them so good, bro. You just can't get them into those 3rd and 12s. They just don't allow themselves to get there, whether it's Mahomes with his legs throwing them away, whether it's just planning and schematically putting it, hey, why don't we just throw the ball to the fastest dude in the NFL behind the line of scrimmage and we'll make something happen? Like just nice, easy plays to get these easy completions. I did look at a past matchup. I looked at the Super Bowl because obviously it's as comparable as it's going to get, right? You're playing the same team in the Super Bowl 2 years later. Quite a few of the same guys there, but 21 for 27 in that game. And then I'm like, why would that happen? Obviously, you got to remember there was a defensive touchdown in that game, right? And when there's a defensive touchdown, that possession time just flips crazy, right? So he had 21 completions. They only had the ball for 24 minutes in that whole Super Bowl, and they still won. And only having the ball for 24 minutes, obviously we saw it was a punt or a return for a touchdown. It was like a 30-something yard return, and then obviously they go right back down the field. And then there was another fumble, I believe, in that game where it was a short field. And that was the one where he threw it to Tony. I believe that was the one where Kadarius Toney, of all people, catches a touchdown in the Super Bowl. But just looking at these spots, the teams that have had elite run defenses, you see the Chiefs make better adjustments than anybody else, right? So we saw, last year, I believe it was the Ravens in the AFC title game, where obviously very good run defense, struggle a little bit more with the pass defense, 30 for 39 in that game. Then you go up against, probably just as good of a run defense in the San Francisco 49ers last year, and they just chucked the ball around. Again, 7.2 yards per attempt, 34 completions last Super Bowl, right? It's when they really don't have any other options. They're going to have to throw it underneath. Vic Fangio is literally the king of this. Like, he wants you to do it. I bet you he would take Mahomes having 35 completions if that means they haven't given up a big play, right? When you have guys like Xavier Worthy here, you have Kelsey, who's been really good after the catch, surprisingly, in this playoff run. I think that you want to have these balls thrown underneath. You have guys that can do it. Maybe we see a little bit more Pirine in these spots after he makes that big play. And obviously, you go to Pacheco as a pass catcher as well. I don't know about Kareem Hunt. I think he just runs 3 yards and falls down. I think even though he did have a 15-yard run, Stu, in the playoffs, he did have one. I thought of you immediately when I saw him just running through a dude. I'm like, hey, Kareem Hunt, he might be back. And then I realized I watched the next play, and it was 2 yards into the back of somebody. So off tangent, but I had to give my guy Kareem Hunt some love because I think he doubled his amount of 20-yard rushes on the season in one game in that last spot. But it's hard for me to get away from just trying to get the Chiefs exactly where you want it. Because when we're in the fourth quarter and they're up, I still think they're throwing the ball, right? We saw it in that Bills game. We started seeing them a little ice it out there, right? They passed the ball in those big spots. It was third and whatever. You already have them out of timeouts. So we run the game out. No, we're going to put it in Mahomes' hands, right? And like, who else would you rather have it in, right? And in this spot, fourth quarter, I'm expecting to see him just kind of chucking that ball around the yard here. And if we kind of think it is the game that we're expecting, close game, and it's not a two-possession to anybody, I'm going back to Mahomes, and I feel really good about it.
Yeah, it's one of those spots, too, where there's so many weapons on this Chiefs team, right? There's so many guys to look to, whether Kelsey, Worthy. I mean, going through the list, like, they're tempting names. Hopkins at like 10.5 yards in the Super Bowl, like Juju, who's having like a resurgence and playing a lot more snaps. Noah Gray. Like, there's so many different names that I want to bet overs on. And at the end of the day, I think when you feel that way, obviously it makes sense to go to the quarterback. It makes sense to go to the guy that's slinging the ball around. And we've seen it in both games. Both quarterbacks skied over their completions number. When you look at the first half of that Washington game, to me, it went exactly how I expected it to, where the Eagles sat back and they dared Jaden Daniels to check the ball down slowly and surely. And they went to fourth down a couple times. He missed a couple check downs. You could tell that's not his game. But still, they comfortably executed the game plan. It only went downhill when the turnovers and all that happened. Patrick Mahomes is the guy built in a lab to do that. They were one of the best teams in football this league, generating explosive plays at a below average rate. They don't need to do that. They don't need to go 40 yards at a time. They can check the ball down 5 yards at a time and beat you. And it's tough. It's hard to defend that. I don't know how you can. So I agree with this. I'm a big fan. If you weren't playing it, I would be as well on the show. So love Mahomes completions. Definitely riding with you for this one.
Yeah, this was, I think it was the day you were going over on Mayo. So make sure you guys pop over and check out Stu popping over there. I think it was like right before we left. I'm like, dude, I got to get you this one, bro. Because I'm playing this and I hammered it already. I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm hammering this thing. And the more and more I just kind of think about it and talk about it, it's just like, even just if you watch, like you just watch some of those games where you just see like even them using almost a little bit of RPO. Like I was very surprised to see, early on in that game, I think it was Hollywood Brown, right? They were having the fake handoff. You just quick little slant and it's 8 yards, right? It's just, they did it again because no one would make an adjustment. The Bills didn't make an adjustment. Boom, you're getting 8 yards. And it's just like, a lot of teams cannot do that. A lot of teams are not willing to be that patient to just take what they give you.
Exactly.
And that's why the Eagles, dude, they're frustrating, bro, because both these teams stop the run at elite rates. They're both top 3 in yards per attempt. So that's even more, right? We expect if we're airing this ball out, maybe it takes away those 9-10-minute drives, right? For the Chiefs, if they're doing a 9-10-minute drive, I do not expect it to be with 10 carries. I'm expecting it to be 8-9 pass attempts, and he goes 7 for 8 because Mahomes throwing darts. So, mind you, it's just like I thought I would have to play a 24.5. I thought that's where I would like have to play it at. But for me to still have a 23.5 available, I played this, I think, at minus 110, like, what was that, a week and a half ago when we talked about it. But this is another one, like, we had to get this out today because I just don't want it to move up another one because I know I'm more of a completions guy on here, and I'm nervous for one, right? Getting that extra one is nerve-wracking, bro. Like, that, it's tough. It's tough to complete a pass in this league, bro. So it's like every single one is important. I would say if you're going to play this one, I'd probably play at 1.5 because you're probably winning, close to like 1.6, about there. So at the plus money, I definitely would probably I would take it. But if you can find a way to get to that 23.5, I would obviously prefer it there.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely size down a little bit whenever you bump up a number, really no matter what it is, just to be kind of safe right there. But every completion definitely does matter, and you don't want to get burned on the hook like that. So I agree. Love the spot for Mahomes. I think he crushes this number, honestly, and hopefully it correlates with the Chiefs money line as well. Hopefully they both get the job done.
Well, not only correlating with Chiefs money line, but with your play as well. I know you're rolling. It's the auxiliary guys that you kind of got to guess with, right? Your Hopkins, your Browns, Noah Gray, stuff like that. Justin Watson. But it's pretty much been the Worthy Kelsey show, and I'm happy to see plus money in the spot.
Yep. I'm going with Xavier Worthy over 5.5 catches plus 115. Pretty widely available across the board right now. I mean, for me, I would play this plus money or better. I think that's kind of the cutoff. I would definitely want plus money because you're paying a little bit of tax. If you've been watching the show a lot, we played 4.5 a ton at the end of the season. He was one of the most dependable guys for me. And I'll always be a Worthy fan because of it. But for a lot of the reasons why I've liked him to end the season, I like him in this matchup. I'll start with the only negative. I'll start out explaining Xavier Worthy. If you haven't been watching, you haven't been paying attention, this extremely fast, extremely shifty guy that they pretty much use like a gadget player. A ton of his targets are near the line of scrimmage. They're short screens. He's averaging over 2 screens per game since week 15, right? That's with Hollywood Brown. That's with everybody back. A baseline of 2 targets right there at the line of scrimmage, easy screen passes. That's not even being Patrick Mahomes' number 1 wide receiver playing 80% of snaps. All that aside, he has such a safe baseline of these easy short passes, this very small A-dot. The negative is man versus zone splits. He's a lot more efficient against man coverage. I assume that's because they probably have taken those couple deep shots against man while everything in zone is just completely underneath. His A-dot drops to 2 against zone. So it's super low, short, quick passes. And that's why I'm on catches over yards. I do believe in him to make a big play. I think yards is always live with a guy like Worthy. But for me, I still think catches is the market. You almost always want to be backing a guy with like a 2 A-dot against, right? Because it's all going to be so close to the line of scrimmage. Like, sure, you can break a big play, but that's what I'd rather capitalize on. And it's, once again, re-emphasizing what I've pretty much been saying this whole time through the whole playoffs, which is we know what the Eagles defense is going to do. We know what the Fangio system does, right? They have great outside quarter play. They're going to sit back and they're going to try to limit explosive plays to their best ability, right? They allow the shortest yards per completion of any team in football. And Mahomes is fine with that. You talked about it in your completions. His been sitting at 6 air yards per attempt all year. That's where he's living this season. It's just those short passes. And who's been kind of the guy that's elevated in the second half of the year? It's been Worthy. He's been fantastic. They use him in motion. They use him outside and in the slot. He's all over the place. It's creative. And that's what Andy Reid is known for. He's the best play caller in football. He's the most creative offensive mind in football. And sure, you got Cooper DeJean, you got a couple good rookies on the other side, but these are guys that are playing well too. But when we're talking about all this motion, all this moving around, like, I trust Worthy. He's been so good in the second half of the season. He's by far the number one wide receiver in snaps. There's a big gap between the rest of these guys. And Fangio's been good against Kelsey in his career. They've done a lot of interesting stuff to slow down Kelsey. I think Cooper DeJean, I think some of these corners even could see time on Kelsey. And yeah, I think that's going to open up better matchups for a guy like Xavier Worthy. So big fan of it. Love Worthy in this spot. Truly been he's probably my most profitable player this season, somewhere around there. Definitely top 5, if not number 1. And I don't see any reason why not to end the season with him here. Like you kind of said in the beginning, and I agree with you. I'm on Mahomes as well, completions. Like I agree with you. You're kind of guessing when you go beyond that. But for me, I mean, I make my living guessing what loser picks up the slack. And most of the time, I love a Justin Watson. I love, diving in the trenches. But I think here, it's abundantly obvious the guy. And I think because of maybe lack of name value, maybe being a rookie, not being the most dependable guy in the world to most people, I still think there's some value at this being plus money here. So we're going to keep on riding with Xavier Worthy over 5.5 catches plus money. Let's go.
Yeah, and like I said, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, was just like you're guessing on the auxiliary guys, but Worthy has pretty much ascended to the 1. Obviously, next year it'll be the 2 with Rashee Rice back, because Rashee Rice is a fucking dog. But right now he's got to do it, right? There's really no other options, right? I mean, talk about a gadget guy. Justin Watson's running 20 yards on the field. I don't think he can catch one underneath. I don't think he's allowed to catch a ball under 20 yards.
Nah.
Right? You go down the list, it's like maybe you give Hopkins more stuff in the red zone just because he's obviously been really, really good in those situations, right? But that's why I said I lean a little bit more with the Chiefs on the money line side, even though I probably prefer the under. Was we have seen other options step up, but it's like Worthy has had to step up in the snap ranges of 80-90%. Everybody else is like 60, 50, right? And then obviously Tim and Kelsey running almost every single route out there, which obviously got to be out there to make plays, right? You have to be on the field to make plays. So really like that spot, and obviously love the plus money spot and look as well here. So let's get through a quick recap, guys, and we'll take a look at some questions if we have any. Again, if we do long shots, I think we'll probably do that Friday. Do our long shots Friday. Do our fun stuff Friday. Like I said, they did it last year too with the UFC pay-per-view on that, which is awesome. Doing those combos on DraftKings are always fun. So
yeah, it's going to be like Tatiana Suarez, more takedowns than like Jake Elliott field goals or combined field goals in the game or something. It's going to be
that's going to be that's going to be a fun fight. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit too on Friday there, but yeah, it should be some fun ones on those spots. I'll kick it to you to start us off.
Sounds good. We got Dallas Goedert over 50.5 receiving yards, -110. I played up to 52. But you see, I don't think it'll actually cross over that. It's already been up there. So I think 50 is about where it lasts, and I think that's a great number for Dallas Goedert.
Beautiful.
Then we got Xavier Worthy over 5.5 catches, +115. I'd play that to even money. Make sure you're getting a plus money price tag. And even a little sneaky thing, we'll talk about it more. If it does move and you can't get that, first drive catch will be plus money no matter what. Definitely something I'll be playing as well. They love getting him the ball early, and getting that at plus money is a good look.
Awesome. And I'm just playing 1-2 unit hammer here. I'm going Mahomes over 23.5 completions for a 2-unit spot. Again, guys, we're trying to cross that 20. If we get all of them, we should be there. So it's obviously exciting, and obviously another successful year in NFL. We obviously appreciate all you guys that have continued to watch and, continue to watch over the years as well. Obviously, Terrence has been a guy with us since the beginning. He knows what Friday is about, dude. It's literally just it's just finding whatever we can find, finding all of those fun wild bets. I know I don't even remember what I had last year. I had some weird shit last year. That's for damn sure. And I think we cashed on a couple of them. So it should be fun. Stu, anything else from you before we head out today?
Yeah, I do see Terrence asked about worthy rush yards. I do like it. 5.5 is kind of fair though. That's the problem. Like I like it, but they caught up. It was 1.5 when we played in that first game. Then it was 3.5. Now 5 or 6. It's kind of a hard number to get to. If I do end up playing it, I think I will play over 1.5 carries at plus 115. Okay. Because to me, if you're already at 6.5 yards, I think you're asking for borderline more than one carry. It's risky, you know what I mean? But you could also get a negative carry. Those are pretty common in these rushes from wide receivers and stuff because you're starting like 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So you benefit from that as well. So at the current market, now that it's moved and stuff up to 5 or 6, I like carries more. And I'll probably have a smaller bet on that just because I'm a fan of Worthy and stuff. But I think the numbers they're pretty fair now. They kind of caught up.
Hey, that's why the books make money, man. That's why they got those big buildings, bro. That's why they got those big buildings. Checking out. Last one, our guy Thomas. He puts this in before we even talk about bets. Talked about his first bet of the spot here, being he already got Goedert in there. Would you be looking at him as a potential ladder spot, even though with the low volume passing game? I feel like if you're going to ladder, it's probably got to be yards, right? With how good he has been after the catch. Obviously, plus 350 on a touchdown is pretty crazy too.
Yeah, I played a little touchdown as well. I thought about talking about it, but then you go, damn, you got to get past Saquon, you got to get past Hurts. Like it's gonna feel like shit when you have that ticket in the red zone, But I did play a little bit of that as well, just because like 350 for Goedert. I mean, he by the way, Goedert leads the team in red zone target share, 24%. Dallas Goedert leads the team in red zone target share. This is a team with AJ Brown and Devonta Adams. I mean, I know that's crazy to say. But that's when they're passing, obviously. So
I was going to say, I'm like, what is their fucking? They got probably like 20 passes in the red zone.
Yeah, but when they do pass, he's involved. So for me, I was like, okay, I got to get a little piece of that. Outside of the red zone, I like it, but 50 is such a high number for any tight end, especially like a guy like Goedert. It's going to be hard for me to get great ladder prices, I think, beyond that. But maybe receptions, just if you don't ever break that big play and he just ends with like 7 or 8, for like 56, like that's not an uncommon tight end, kind of number as well. So I don't know. It's hard to ladder when the baseline is fairly high, but I do like the touchdown. But it's going to be you're not going to feel good with Dallas Goedert touchdown with 5 straight tush pushes. And then a Saquon Barkley carry, it's gonna hurt a little bit, but I think the value is good enough where you still make that click.
Beautiful. I don't think I saw any other questions in the chat. Again, guys, if you're not in here live with us, it's all right. We'll be here Friday. If you could still hit that like button, we appreciate you. We'll be back Friday, the normal time, getting our spots in for the fun show, for crazy props out there. So. Me and Stu will talk about tomorrow, maybe a little bit earlier show to get all the NBA and all that stuff in, because obviously that's been going and feeling pretty good to start the season out there. If you need another bet, did drop a college basketball bet already today. We're ready to go there. And it should be fun. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. And we will catch you guys probably tomorrow and Friday. So we got a four show week. So let's get after it. So have a good one, guys, and see you tomorrow.